Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Dinozor Gaming, where we learn to be a better player. Today we are doing a deck tech on Emperor Palpatine on Cunning base, and Emperor Palpatine has been one of the earliest leaders coming all the way from set 1, and while it has not made a big competitive splash, it is starting to make an appearance now, especially on Cunning. We saw a few planetary qualifiers recently taken down by this combo, and it is quite the doozy. So let's quickly jump in and talk about what Emperor Palpatine is. Of course, his action on the leader side says pay 1, defeat a friendly unit to deal a damage to a unit and draw a card. Now, unlike a lot of other leaders, this is strange because you don't normally want to defeat your own friendly units. So you're going to need to play a lot of more disposable units that just throw away. But it is drawing you a card. It is helping you cycle through your deck faster, and that is one of the biggest strengths of Palpatine. However, on his flip side, at 8 cost, up until we recently got Avar Kriss, this was the latest deploying leader we have ever had. And with good reason, because when deployed, not only are his stats fantastic at 410, he takes control of a damaged non-leader unit. And lucky for us, his leader side is able to damage a unit. Of course, on attack, he has the same ability to kill a friendly unit, deal a damage, draw a card. Now, all that said, let's go ahead and check out the deck list. As we mentioned, the deck list will be in the description below. So if you ever want it, just go there and check it out. This particular list is played by Charlie, who won the New York Planetary Qualifier. And luckily for us, he has agreed to give us a small little interview. And so this deck tech is going to be a little bit different. Instead of me discussing the deck's strengths and weaknesses and card choices, it's going to be done by him. And who else to do it than the person who piloted it to victory in one of the most competitive sectors in the United States. So if we take a look at the deck here, a lot of the green is very core for Palpatine, but there's some very interesting cards here. And the main reason you pair this with yellow, of course, being some very strong cards with Palpatine, for example, Legacy Run and Elite Starfighter, cards that when defeated are able to do very strong effects, or other ways to deal small amounts of damage, like the ISP Agent or Salacious Crumb, allowing you to trigger out your leader ability, so when you deploy you get to steal something. Let's go ahead and check out some of these cards. So what are the core of the deck? So I believe that these are the cards that you're going to be playing in a Palpatine deck no matter what color you're playing him with. The obvious ones are going to be Super Laser Technician. If you do end up using your leader ability on this, not only does it refund the mana cost because it goes into your resource, but you're also dealing a damage and drawing a card. It's pretty much what you want. And Ramp is something this deck needs desperately, considering your leader flips on 8 and most of your good cards are very expensive. You want to ramp early, ramp fast, so you can then catch up on the board. In the same vein, we have Resupply. I don't see a world where you would not play Resupply in a Palpatine deck. Yes, it is slow, but your deck is slow, so go all in on what your deck wants to do. Then, of course, we have Reinforcement Walker. Now, what makes this card so strong and so unique is that it is one of the only ways for a green command deck, essentially, to have reliable healing. One of the main weaknesses of going in a color pairing such as green-yellow is that you give up a lot of the sustainability that you would have had if you were to play, for example, blue, a lot of restore effects or just flat out heal effects that you don't have access to. So, or something like Reinforcement Walker, while expensive, if you are able to get just the when played, it's decent. If you're able to cheat it out with an attack, whether that's through an ambush or a sneak attack, and getting 2 or 3 triggers out of this is often enough to just win the game single-handedly. And then, of course, we have Darth Vader, or to a much lesser extent, Maul, the 2 little ambush bros who have been dominating the 7-cost slot for ever since the game came out, and this is no different. While Vader has been played a bit less recently due to the higher stats of units in general, it is still a fantastic card, getting you essentially 10 resources worth of cards on 7, on top of an ambush that helps you clear the board. And finally, Devastator, the strongest green card. Not in terms of raw stats, we do have some slightly bigger stuff, but I mean a card that comes in, kills something, Sentinel and Overwhelm. You would be hard-pressed to not play this in any Palpatine deck. So, what are some of the key combos of Palpatine? The obvious ones are going to be things that work with your leader ability. And an easy way to do that, an obvious way to do that, is going to be by using it on your opponent's units. Part of what makes Yellow so strong is change of heart, being able to steal your opponent's unit, attack with it, and then kill it off and draw a card is such a huge tempo swing, especially if you steal something relevant. If you steal their force unit on time for them to not have the fours, or if you steal their giant Avenger that they thought they were going to checkmate you with, and then not only are you able to trigger that effect, but you also kill it off, draw a card, deal a damage. Fantastic. To a lesser extent, Traitorous does something similar, so just stealing your opponent's stuff is very strong with an effect like this. Of course, killing your own units is also strong. We did mention Super Laser Technician earlier. It's no different with Elite P-38 Starfighter. If you play this, you deal a damage. If it dies, you deal a damage. So if you actually play this, use your leader ability, it costs you 4 resources, but you ended up doing 3 damage and drawing a card. So essentially for 0 cards, you dealt 3 damage spread however you want. That's pretty good early on. It helps you a lot in those wide board matchups like Vader, for example. Then the elephant in the room is the legacy run. Probably half of the reason to run Yellow here is a 5 cost, 3/3. Those are not great stats, but when defeated, deals 6 damage divided as you choose among enemy units. It is a small overwhelming barrage in a deck that normally can't afford to play overwhelming barrage. So if you put this down, your opponent will not want to kill it, but if they don't kill it, you'll kill it off yourself. So just an overall fantastic card. Yes, there are some answers to it in Force Lightning, but it is a matter of timing. And that's partially also where Sneak Attack comes in. While Sneak Attack is fantastic with a lot of cards in the deck, it is especially devastating when played with the Legacy run, because not only do you get to attack with it, you don't even need to use your leader ability. You get to do this on turn 4, bring it out, attack, it'll die, and deal 6 damage. It's essentially a very early board wipe. And of course, the early game in McClunky is really what sets this deck apart. We'll see later on in the interview, Charlie will mention it, but one of the main weaknesses of Palpatine in general is the early game. So if you're playing the Underworld early package with Bazine Natal or Salacious Crom or other cards like that, you're able to leverage McClunky and bounce your stuff, and while you're not really developing your board, you don't need to. You're a much more mid to late game leader. So it's okay to trade off that bounce to kill a unit, and if you do end up killing their unit on turn 1 or turn 2, often enough they'll fall behind just enough for you to be able to ramp and catch up. Now, all that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the interview and hear from the man, the myth, the legend himself. Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here today with Charlie. Charlie, this last weekend, won the Planetary Qualifier in New York right after Galactic Championships with a very unique deck. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Dinosaur. So yeah, I went to New York City this weekend, a last-minute trip, and somehow made it with Palpatine Yellow. Something that I did not expected, but it's a great weekend.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, we saw some of your last few matches, and it was very tight. Can you tell us a bit about why you brought Palpatine, and is this the same deck that you brought to Galactic Championships?
So I've been a Palp player since set 1, but mostly a Palp blue player. Last set, with set 4, with all the Data Vault meta, I kind of stopped playing it because it was unplayable with all the Data Vault and Super Laser Blast, able to like equalize the board, making like Palpatine flip like kind of useless. I was thinking of playing Palpatine for the Galactic, but since I didn't get day 1 buy, so I had to play for all 3 days, I opted to not play Palpatine because I was afraid of playing against player and ending in the draw bracket. So usually people are like, if you play Palpatine and get in the draw bracket, you're supposed to be favorable. But in my opinion, it's not totally true, because sometimes people will end up in the draw bracket not because they are the control player, but because they are playing slowly. And that's something that I did encounter on previous PQ that I played at. Like sometimes you play against control that refuse to scoop their games. So even if you're technically favored in the matchup, you can simply lose to just one player just because they will refuse to scoop. So that's something that I didn't want to happen to me. So I opted to play ECL Krennic at the Galactic. But somehow it still happened to me because I did draw one game, and although I did draw and ended up in the draw bracket, exactly what I expected happened because none of the players that I played in draw bracket were playing control decks, but it was only players that was playing slowly. So I still ended up not making it with 5 win, 2 loss, 1 draw. So I was close to making it, but I didn't make it. And so since Galactic ended, I decided to come back to Palpatine. And after looking at all the decklists that made it at the Galactic, I saw one of the Palp lists that was in the top 16, like 13th place, I believe. I looked at it and was like quite impressed. I tried it and I just made some adjustment to make it suit my playstyle. And that's what led me to win the New York PQ.
Very nice. So do you think Palpatine is currently placed favorably in the meta?
I thought it was after the first 2 weeks of Galactic because the deck is exceptionally good against all the mid-range because it's with control. If you play against control, you're also quite favored because most people playing blue-green villain have been going to Kylo, which is a pretty late deploy leader, so you're able to kind of ramp freely into the late game without being afraid of anything they can play. And your flip is technically a lot better than Kylo's flip, and if you're able to wipe the board somehow, it's very good. However, lately there have been a lot more aggro decks, which unexpectedly is better than what I expected. In my opinion, the current list of Palpatine Yellow is the version that have the best matchup it ever had against aggro decks. But my biggest worry at the moment are all the Boba Fett data vault, because even if you open with a very good hand or somehow close to perfect hand, you can still lose to all the indirect damage, Devastator, and Ruthless Rider. So it's still kind of a meta call. And my expectation in New York was a low amount of ground space aggro and not many Boba Data Vault, which ended up to be the right call because I only played one aggro that was space. And thankfully, that was my only loss.
Very nice. I mean, that kind of leads into my next question, where I was going to ask you what kind of matchups you were hoping to see and avoid. So obviously you mentioned Boba Data Vault and just aggro in general, but is there any other matchups that you wanted to avoid, or are there any matchups that you considered borderline free wins? Like, what is your deck exceptionally good against?
So even if PQ is supposed to be some of the, not the highest competitive, but technically I expected the East Coast in the New York City area to be very high level. I still expect people to play what they have access to and what they like more than the best deck. So I expected to still see a lot of hand 2 blue or blue red hero. And I did look at the previous PQ that was closed to New York City, and I didn't see that many space aggro decks. So I was hoping to not see many of them, which actually had quite a lot because Vader Yellow was the second most represented deck, I think. But I didn't play any of them, but I did play the Han 4 Tarkin Town that absolutely exterminated me. But at the end, yeah, I had a few rough matchup for the last 2 rounds before Top Cut, but once I saw all the decks in Top Cut, I knew that I was favored. And I think that Palpatine Yellow was actually a very good meta call for that tournament.
I mean, we're not going to go through all of your matchups, of course, but could you tell me about what your matchups in the top 8 were and why you felt so comfortable with them?
So in top 8, I saw the top cut. There was 3 Yoda Red, Kylo 5 ECL, Quinlan Tarkin Town, I believe Palpatine Blue, me with Palp Yellow, and Han 2 Blue.
Wow, that's a lot of very slow decks.
Yeah, so there was no aggro players. I mean, there was Quinlan that I was potentially the most the deck I was the most worried about. Thankfully, he lost in top 8. My first opponent was playing Kylo 5 ECL, and the moment we compared decklist, I knew it was a free win, kind of. Like it's kind of unfortunate because he was only playing a few only ground units with triple Inferno 4 and triple Onyx for the space against aggro decks. And when I looked at it, I just knew that I just had to change of heart any big unit he would play in the ground or flip Palpatine to tempo and just slap one Devastator in space, and I would win from there. There was no glory in his deck, so I knew I could play Super Laser Tech freely and ramp. And I believe he had no. Wait, there was power and fell maybe, but just looking at the deck list, I knew that he couldn't win because my deck was built so that I could match any top end that he had. So I just had to go into late game, have something to exhaust or kill Kylo when he would flip, and that was that. Top 4 hand to blue was a rematch from round that I drew against. This time, when I saw his deck list, I believe he had no Cham in his deck. So I knew that after side I could just ramp freely, so I played completely differently compared to what I had in round. So I was able to take over the game like pretty easily. I knew what to do, just kept cards to in response to the Cry Dragon, and from there, like I don't think Han 2 can win. And after that, I went to final, and it was against Yoda Red. So that game in top 4, the mirror Yoda Red took a while. So I was able to look at both deck lists, and I saw one that had Cham inside deck and the other didn't. And luckily for me, the one that was playing no Cham ended up getting into finals against me. So it was Pasquale from Maclunky Gaming. And Palpatine is already favored into Yoda Red, but he he had a lot less top end than usual in the deck. Like it seems like he was favoring going wide than going for the crate, mace, or hammerhead. So I had a game one that I knew that I just had to tempo a little bit, and in the end he only had 2 crate dragons, so I would take it like pretty favorably. And game 2 he unfortunately bricked with Owen pass, and from there I was able to ramp twice, and there was nothing he could do. Like game 1, I did start with initiative that allowed me to snipe his Yaddle when he had double first row, and then he showed me the third one turn 2. And even though he was able to play all 3 force row at the end, the Palp Yellow build have so many turn 1 cost drop in the deck that I can just discard these and he's not able to kill anything. Or if he can, it's only because that's something that I don't really care about, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And actually during the whole tournament, I think I had Wu triple force throw me as well in game 3 against him that I somehow won because I drew the nuts every time for turn. And in the final, yes, when I got triple force throw. But the deck is pretty resilient to that card because you don't usually have a board that makes force throw very good against you. Like it's essentially like they will just discard a card from my hand, and whatever I lose on board is not very important because I just need to survive until the pulp flip and take over the game from there.
Okay, I mean, clearly you know what you're talking about when it comes to Palpatine, and you did mention that you have been playing him since set 1. So is there could you tell us like what are the main differences in the colors? Like I know that you've played quite a bit of Palpatine in double green and blue. So why yellow this time, and what is it that makes it better than the rest at the moment?
So Pal Blue is probably my favorite deck, the one I love the most. But I don't think it's suitable in the meta. The issue with blue is like all of the removal before Super Laser Blast only trade 1 for 1. And currently the meta is about taking control of the board. And I noticed that any deck that is able to put 2 units on board is most likely going to win. Like you look at Quinlan, they ping Tarkin Town, they have 1 more unit than you. Kaido 5 Tarkin Town is the same, they just ping, they get 1 over you. Vader Yellow, double drop turn 1, Hunt for Yellow, Hunt for Tarkin Town, goes double drop. Boba for Data Vault, like it just burns you, but have the ability to go double drop at 4 resource. Even technically, if you look at Han 2 Blue and the heroic decks, they have the ability to get to build the board advantage with Force Row and other decks because they have cheap ways to remove your units. And Yoda is good because when you flip, Yoda is able to kill something for free and build the board advantage. And it's something that was like pretty recurring. Like almost all of the deck they win because they are able to build a board that is 1 or 2 units above you, and they just push that advantage. Like Talzin at 4 resources, she's able to with the Force to play Darth Tyrannus or Talzin Assassin. Like every deck is like that. And Palp Yellow cannot Palp Blue, sorry, cannot do that because all of the blue removal is 1 for 1, and the turn 1 you're not able to kill anything. So the moment they put 2 units on board, you pretty much lose. And that's why I didn't play Palp Blue. Palp Yellow doesn't have that ability right from the get-go to kill 2 units, but it have ways to tempo very early on with, No Good To Me Dead or Lost Cat in the ground. You have Contracted Hunter and McClunky that can kill units for quite cheap. And these 3 cards, like the Exhaust, the Contracted Hunter, and McClunky, get you safely into the Legacy run at 4, 5, 6 resources, depending if you're a sneak attack or not. And Legacy run get you safely into the turn 7 for Vader or Maul, and these 2 get you into Pulp. So the Pulp Yellow is very good at the moment because they have all these cards that are able to trade the board without going negative in card advantage. So you can effectively like build a board, potentially like kill some units, and still get into Pulp Yellow flip. Also, one advantage of yellow over blue is like blue will require you to have 1 unit on board to sack, ping something to steal it, which is very difficult because some people, when they know how to play against Palpatine, they would just remove all your unit to prevent the ping, so they would just build the board and kill you. And with cards like Anakin and Luke that are able to trade and kill unit without taking damage, it's kind of tough to like ambush back with Vader to kill them. And Vader is actually pretty bad in the format because it's only have 5 power, so it's not able to kill anything big because like you have Anakin, Luke, Mace Windu. Like most of the big units have like over 5 HP, so it's difficult for Vader to kill them. But Palpatine have ISB Agent and P38 that are able to ping alongside the ambush from Vader to kill units that have 6 HP. And better than that, if you play ISB Agent and P38, you're able to ping without requiring to sacrifice anything. So they enable your Palpatine flip to steal anything if required.
Very
And
nice.
what's
Oh.
interesting in this format compared to before is that, as I mentioned, you pretty often win if you are able to take like a small advantage, which means that to win the game, you don't need Palpatine to steal anything big. Like, yeah, you can threaten like to steal a Cry Dragon or Devastator Avenger, like to potentially like threaten like late game. But if you're able to even steal like a small Yoda or Kayadi Mundi or something like that and build like a very small advantage, because the deck have Devastator, Walker, and everything else, Change of Heart, I can just keep that advantage and the opponent will never be able to come back because outside of Super Laser Blast, there is nothing in the game that is able to kill multiple units. I mean, there is Vader Blue if you have the ambush, but even for that, there is like options to play against it.
Yeah,
That's why
like
Palpatine
you
Yellow is
mentioned, it's a
best.
very wide meta at the moment, and the main reason is because there's not enough non-single target removal in the game.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, so one of our last questions is going to be about your sideboard. Could you tell us a little bit about your thought process of the sideboard and why you picked the cards that you picked?
So for this sideboard, I had 2 Confiscate, 2 Aggrieved Parliamentarian, 1 Waylay, 2 Palp Return, Maul, and Relentless. So the current deck list is geared toward dealing against mid-range deck. If I play against a control deck that is able to mill me, I need to either apply a lot of pressure, which is I'm able to do because I have a lot of cheap units like Aura Things, ISB Agent Crumbs. So at 3 and 4 resource, I'm able to go 2+1 or 2+2, and from there I'm able to match any single removal and just slowly chip at the opponent base. But I needed something to guarantee surviving the Super Laser Blast, and from there I have Bazin McClunky to cycle and hopefully snipe the blast to survive that card, or the Relentless. And I was actually able to play Relentless against the Iden that I played in round 6. The Palp Return is there because if I get milled, I can hopefully play Devastator, Relentless, Maul, or the Walker. Or it's also good against all of these Force Throw deck. You discard Maul and Vader, and suddenly you're able to play Palp Return in response. And usually, if you're able to discard Maul of Force Throw, if you ramp once, you're able to like one-shot Quinlan or Han2, which actually puts you in an advantage. So actually, after side, I don't think Force Throw is very good against Palpatine Yellow, at least, because they will either discard a one cost that makes you waste one resource, or you just discard the big one that is able to come back with Palpatine Return, which is incredibly dangerous for you.
Very interesting point.
The two, yeah. So the 2 Aggrieved Parliamentarian, I was actually a little bit afraid of Kylo. Although I did playtest a little bit against a few Kylo Tarkin Town, I actually found out that Palpatine Yellow is very good against it. The main reason is because all the early units from Kylo can be matched with Aura Singh, Contract Hunter, and McClunky. Like if they ping you with Migs, you can potentially like just pound them with McClunky, or sack with Aura Singh immediately just to ping and get you close to death, and then you finish them with P38. But Aggrieved Parliamentarian just give you that 1 or 2 extra turn late game to establish a board and put enough pressure so that you can potentially like force Kylo to deploy early without any upgrades, or you just break their Anakin, and from there you are just they cannot do anything. And the Confiscate are there for any pilot decks because Han 4 and Vader Yellow are still like big issues. So if you're able to kill the leader deploy as a pilot, you most likely can just tempo enough to get into Palpatine flip. And if you can steal the Clone Combat Squadron or something like that, you're pretty much winning the game. And I have a mono Waylay in the side deck as well. So that last spot, I was actually thinking of playing something like a third sneak attack or a third no good to me dead. I opted to choose Waylay simply because of the top cut. Because if you play in open deck list and the opponent is able to look at your list, if they see just one missing card, like for example, if I don't play Waylay and I ended up playing against a deck that has something like General Blade and stuff, I just know that I can just slap General Blade, and my only answer at this point would be like Lost Cat or No Good to Me Dead. So I still need to have like one Waylay that they have to respect, just in case it comes up. At the end, I was pretty happy with the sideboard because I did ended up playing every card at least once in the tournament. And even for the main deck, I think every card had an impact at some point that made me win the game. Like especially Lost Cat. Like that card is insane. It's a no good to me good on leg. You can play it. You sack pulp, you ping something, exhaust something. And what is interesting, like it's a way to shift resources from one turn to another. Because let's say like you start, you have the initiative, you can actually play Lost Cat if you have no other plays. And if you play against hand to blue, like they play one unit, you can potentially crash the Lost Cat, exhaust the unit to deny the force, so they cannot get access to Kaedi Mondi to draw 2 at turn 2. And you can potentially play Harassing or Contract Hunter like to tempo and kill the other units next to it. And you're able to save a lot of HP. I think in Top Cut, the Lost Cat, one Lost Cat ended up saving me like 16 HP because I played it to exhaust Mace Windu, and I claimed swing Lost Cat to kill a Yoda and then exhaust the same Mace Windu. So technically, I did save like 16 HP from that. So I was pretty happy with it.
That's insane. Yeah, you do have a lot of unorthodox cards in here, and they worked out very well for you. Things like Loth Cat or Contracted Hunter. Are there any cards that almost made the cards that like you considered putting or maybe took out at the last second? I know that there's a lot of like typical staples that we're not seeing here. Things like Salvage that are seeing a lot more play recently, or Timely Intervention on your Reinforcement Walker. Do you have anything else like that that you almost used?
I would probably change a few cards in the main deck. I will not add or remove anything, but change ratios depending on what meta you're expecting. So if you look at all the Palpatine Yellow list, they are pretty similar. I think my only addition in my deck is a Lost Cat that is doing the same thing at No Good to Me Dead. But I would probably, depending on what you're expecting in the meta, I would probably play a third Crumbs, a third Sneak Attack, or potentially a second Maul. Maul was actually the one card that every game I was adding the second one for game 2. So it could be possible like to shift the Maul in main deck, but I also want to stay at 50 cards. Sneak Attack, I've seen some deck lists at only 1, but I'm actually considering to play 3. Most of the time, people think of using it for Walker and Devastator for the late game. That deck also have access to Legacy Run, but if you think about it like differently, the deck have access to P38 and Contracted Hunter, and if you sneak attack for one of the two, swing and are able to keep that unit alive, you can still ping with Palpatine for the 3 resource total to draw and ping. So the sneak attack technically becomes a free ping 1, draw 1 for a unit that you would normally lose. So if you play against some aggro decks, like let's say Palpatine Yellow, Vader Yellow, for example, you can potentially, at 3 resource, sneak attack P38 to kill a 1 health unit, swing onto the Republic Y-Wing at the 1-3 space unit, you kill it, and then you can pulp, sack the P38 to kill either a second 1 health unit or a 2 health unit. And then you draw 1 card, so it's very, very good.
Those are some great card interactions, things that a lot of people don't think about, things that sometimes I even don't think about, and it really shows your grasp of how this deck plays. And clearly, you're amazing at it, playing in New York, one of the hubs of players. I know that there were a lot of big name players there. I know you played against Wu as well, for example, over the weekend. So I mean, hey, now that you have your 100 points for winning this PQ, which by the way, I don't remember if I said big congratulations. Are you planning on still going to any other PQs or regional sectors, or are you just gonna take it easy now that you're qualified for next year's Galactics?
So although I didn't perform well at Galactic, the event kind of got me very hyped for Star Wars Unlimited. and I would like to move and play more PQ. Unfortunately, Quebec is not that favored, and especially the Montreal area, as you especially know, because we have no PQ under 5-hour drive, which is pretty bad for us. So we kind of forced to travel over 5 hours of drive just to get to a single PQ. And I feel like it's not going to change for the next set. So if we don't travel, we most likely won't get international experience. And I pretty much want to travel for more PQ in the area. They just announced the date for Boss Sector in Portland, that is unfortunately the opposite side of the continent, and Philly. But Philly, I think, is going to be a sealed event.
Yes, it's going to be the limited event.
I like limited, but I'll probably go there. I love the format. I don't know for you.
I love limited. I play in every limited event I can find around here, but I don't know if I'd be willing to drive 10 hours to go to a regional level event for limited just yet.
Definitely. I mean, I was not expecting to go to New York. Someone messaged me the night before and asked me again the morning, like Friday. And I was like, I have nothing to do, let's go. So I just did quit work without telling anyone at work, and we went straight to New York City.
Well, hey, I mean, until FFG...
It worked!
Yeah, and I mean, hey, until FFG starts giving us PQs, we'll just have to keep crossing the border and stealing the wins from our American neighbors.
Yeah, because I think we had people traveling for 3 PQ so far, and we stole 2 of them.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can keep stealing the one from the next weekend.
All right. I mean, honestly, thank you so much for your time, Charlie. It's definitely been eye-opening. Is there any last things you want to say? Do you want to give us context about your amazing hat? Or...
Oh, yeah. The Galactic, although I didn't perform well, I had an amazing time at the Flamingo. That hat was like... How do you say that?
Your emotional support
It's
animal?
my lucky hat now.
You're lucky, yes.
It's my lucky hat. Maybe I will move to PQ with it. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, thanks to you for hosting me for this deck tech or interview. And obviously, I'd like to thank all the players in the Quebec area, because also we don't have PQ. I think we do have a very good player and some exceptional level in here. So it's a shame that we don't have access to a lot of events. So hopefully FFG can look at that and give us some opportunity to have some of our players going for the world next year.
All right. Thank you very much. And with that, guys, we've come to an end here. Thank you very much for listening. And if you guys want to leave us a comment or anything, I will gladly check it out. I will poke Charlie if you guys have any questions for him. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time.